Good morning. Welcome back to my kitchen. I'm S.A. Trotter, your host. Today, I'm going to be making quiche. What we're going to start with is our crust. After we prepare our crust and put it into these tiny dishes, then we're going to make a simple egg custard, and all that is just some egg and milk mixed together and beaten well. And then the other thing is just lining each dish prior to putting the custard in it with whatever we want in our quiche. Now, if you're wondering what can you put in a quiche, that's very simple. You can put anything in a quiche, okay? If you want to put a pork chop in a quiche, well, put a pork chop in a quiche, although that might be kind of weird, but hey, you could do that. You can put tomatoes in there, you can put chilies in there, you can put jalapeno in there, that'll give it a neat kick, onion, bacon, chorizo, little chorizo crumbles, or other types of sausage would work very well. I will mention though, when you put meat in a quiche, make sure it's pre-cooked. Do not put raw bacon in there. Do not put raw sausage in there. Cook it first, make little crumbles, then put it into your quiche and bake it. Otherwise, you're going to have something very unhealthy come out of the oven. Okay? Now, let's start with our pie crust. I have put 1 cup of flour into a bowl. I'm going to need a pinch of salt in there. Alright? Now I'm using a stick of butter. This is not soft. This is very cold. It's directly out of the refrigerator, and that's exactly what I need to produce a good pie crust. The colder your ingredients are, the better off the crust will come out. It'll come out flakier this way. Now, the other thing I want to caution you about when it comes to making a pie crust, do not overwork it. The reason most folks have a tough crust is because they overwork it. Sometimes they put too much liquid in it. There's a lot of different reasons, but one thing's for sure, if you work this like you do a bread dough, you're going to end up with some real problems. Okay? So let's not do that. Now, once you put your butter down in the flour mixture, you can use something like this. This is a pastry blender. These only cost a couple of dollars. You can get them at most stores that sell any kind of kitchen goods. Use this to start cutting those butter clumps up. They call this cutting in. Okay, we are cutting the butter into the flour. If you'll notice, it sticks to the our pastry blender. What this is called, a pastry blender. So when it does that, just knock it off and go back to cutting in the butter. Okay, now what I'm looking for here is to have these little clumps of butter about pea-sized. Okay? And if you get a little messy with it, that's okay. The counter that I am going to be preparing this on is right underneath this. See there, a little bit flew outside of my bowl. That's not going to matter. All of that's going to get reincorporated right down into my crust. Will not hurt a thing. Okay, now, starting to get some small pieces in there, almost to the point where I'm ready to add liquid, okay? You see the condition that I have here. We have little pieces, they're about pea-sized, that is cut in, okay? Now I'm going to add some milk to that. You don't want to use a whole lot of milk. You're not going to add a 1/4 cup or anything. We're going to add this at about a tablespoon at a time. Just go to mixing that in. Okay. Add another tablespoon. Alright. Now what does the cold liquid do? That activates the gluten in the flour that allows it to stick together. You do not want to activate too much gluten. If you do, you're going to have a pie crust that's really tough. Okay? Remember, when it comes to a good pie crust, the less you work it, the better it's going to come out. Now, it's starting to stick together well. 1 more tablespoon, that makes 3. Now, mix that in, and this will form into a nice little ball. After that, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for about 15-20 minutes. That'll keep the bowl cool. That will keep this dough cool. And remember, if it's cool, look how it sticks. If it's cool, it's going to produce a better, flakier pie crust. Now, should you use shortening? Should you not? You know, that's just a debate amongst a lot of different people. Personally, I don't like to use shortening because I think it makes the pie crust taste a little bland. Some people like to mix the shortening and butter. That way they say they get the best of both worlds. Okay? Now, pie crust. Look at that. How it's stuck together. It's holding together all right. I'm going to put that in the fridge. And don't work it any more than this. Okay? If you keep kneading that, it's going to make it tough. Put it in the fridge, and I'll make my custard next.